I was approached by an individual whose car was parked directly in front of that pickup, or that truck, and I was asked, "What are you doing?" And I informed her that I was just informed that this vehicle had hit my building. She then asked when. I said 10-15 minutes ago from what I understand. And I was informed that no way, no how that this vehicle hit my building. It's been parked for at least 3 hours, if not longer.
After having this conversation with that woman, what occurred next?
I informed her that I had a video on my phone showing that this vehicle had hit my building.
And what occurred next?
She proceeded to walk away.
What happened after that?
I pulled out my phone and I called Officer Weber.
All right. Now, prior to Officer Weber's arrival, did another individual contact you regarding this truck?
Yes, Andrew came out and we went over and looked at it. He was apologetic, said he would take care of the damages. Actually, at first wanted to fix it himself, and I politely asked that the person that did the sighting would come back and do it that way.
So prior to Officer Weber's arrival, you made contact with an Andrew, is that right?
Yes.
And he approached you, or did you approach him?
I was standing out there, so I guess I would say he more or less approached me, but
Okay. And if you were to see this Andrew today, would you be able to identify him?
yes, he's sitting at the defendant's table.
But the court must acknowledge the witness identified the defendant, Andrew Stady.
The record will so reflect.
So again, walk us through briefly your conversation with Mr. Stady.
He came over, was very apologetic. He says, I didn't realize I did it. I will push his finger and I said, oh, it's just foam, I can fix this. I said, I'd prefer to have Dan Hahn come back and fix it, as he's the one that put it on and it's a custom color. And I would just prefer, since it's newer, to just get it done right the first time.
So during this conversation, he actually made an admission to you that he had collided with the building.
He said, yes,
With this truck.
yes.
Now, you were the one, however, to reach out to law enforcement, is that right?
Correct.
And the purpose of reaching out to law enforcement was for what?
At the time, not knowing who drove the vehicle, and not knowing what was gonna happen, I reached out in case I would have to turn it into insurance. It's just easier to have a police report or have something documented that there was damage when it was done, and just for the uncertainty of the time.
And frankly, you weren't aware whether or not this Andrew, who then contacted you, had himself reached out to law enforcement.
At the time I made the phone call, I didn't know who Andrew was.
But again, for clarification, he did make an admission to you that he collided with your building.
Yes.
Your Honor, I have no further questions of Mr. Sutton.
Mr. Stading, I know you're more familiar with the process than previous defendants. Do you wish to cross-examine Mr. Sutton?
I do. Mr. Sutton, how you doing today, man?
I'm good, how are you?
I'm doing all right. I've obviously had better days. So on this day when my wife spoke with you, she said something about it's impossible I hit the building, because you said that I just hit the building to my wife. Is that correct?
Yes, it was indicated.
Are you aware that I was in the restaurant for over an hour having lunch?
I was not aware of that.
So was the hit to your building so violent that everyone inside realized it and came running out?
No, I actually did not know my building was hit until I was approached by the individual that witnessed it and gave me the video and indicated it just happened.
So my big heavy steel truck hitting the side of your foam covered building, and you didn't even notice on the inside that your building was struck. Is it reasonable to believe that I would have no clue that I struck your building with that big metal truck?
I suppose in some instances, yeah.
Okay, and when I came out, you said I admitted guilt, is that what happened?
We talked about it and we said it appears like I hit your building. I apologize. I will take care of it and make it right.
Okay, did I make it right?
Yes, you actually came in, I don't know the exact date. I know you have a piece of paper I signed saying that you were going to pay for it. I got estimates from Dan Hahn, and they were ballpark because he hadn't been there yet. It was $400 to $500 to fix it. I asked you if it comes in under, you gave me $500 in cash. If it came in under $500, what would you like me to do with the remainder? And you said we should just keep it for the headache.
So I have compensated you for all damages, is that correct?
That is correct.
So I owe you nothing.
That is correct.
So can you please explain to me what's going on here?
Objection, Your Honor, this is well beyond the nature of this hearing. He's calling for Mr. Sutton to provide speculation as to the, well, frankly, the prosecution of this case.
The objection is sustained.
I protest. Who's speaking?
You know Mr. Lewis, Mr. Stady. The objection is sustained. You can go on to your next question.
What does sustained mean?
It means I agree with the objection. He doesn't have to answer that question.
Oh, so is Paul Lewis sworn in?
You can go on to your next question. If you don't have any, we'll let the witness go.
So, Mr. Sutton, do I owe you anything?
As we previously stated, no, you need for the damages.
All right, and when I came out of the building and you showed me on your phone or whatever, my truck up against your building, was I at all aggressive or confrontational? Or did I say, hey, I didn't know I hit your building. If I did, I'm sorry. I'm not arguing the fact that I did or did not.
You were very hospitable until Officer Weber pulled up.
Did we come to an agreement and shake hands before Officer Weber pulled up?
Objection, Your Honor, relevance pertaining to this trial. Whether or not he's reached an outside agreement is simply not bearing upon the statutes being prosecuted here today.
Does the state believe they get to interfere with civil matters and make them criminal matters?
You can answer that question. That objection is over.
Did we come to an agreement that you would pay and compensate me for damages? If that's the question, then yes. We came to an agreement and we didn't know the amount. I told you I would get a hold of Dan or have Dan get a hold of you to figure it out.
And what was the total amount of those damages again?
I want to say it was 400 and change.
400 and change. And, well, I guess the question's not for you, it would be for the court. What am I being charged with? Damage of private property over $1,000?
Mr. Stady, you've been provided with a copy of the complaint that sets out the charges.
Yeah, I don't understand any of that.
I can read them to you if you'd like.
You could read all you want, I don't understand what you're saying.
And perhaps you'll have to hire an attorney to assist you.
I have counsel.
Are they going to assist you today?
God always assists me.
You have an attorney licensed in the state of South Dakota that's going to assist you today.
Does God need your permission?
I'll take that as a no, and you'll be proceeding pro se.
What does pro se mean?
Do you have any other questions for this witness?
What does pro se mean?
Do you have any other questions for this
What does
witness?
pro se mean?
There being no other questions, Mr. Lewis, do you have any redirects?
I do not, Your Honor.
You may step down. Paul?
Leave it, please. Your Honor, I'd like to call Chief Zach Weber to the stand.
Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you were about to give in the matter now in hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? I do. Please have a seat. Mr. Lewis, you may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Will you please state your name for the record?
Zach Weber,
And where are you employed?
the city of Flanders,
In what capacity?
chief of police.
Were you still employed in the capacity on or about June 29, 2023 here in the city of Flanders?
Yes.
Around the time of 13:39 in the afternoon?
Yes.
Around that time, were you called in regards to call for service to the Sutton Insurance Agency,
Yes.
located on North Wind Street?
Correct.
You attended that location?
Yes.
For what purpose?
The report of a possible hit-and-run accident that occurred at the vehicle versus the building,
And about what time did you arrive at that location?
approximately 13:41.
Walk us through what occurred upon your arrival at that location.
When I arrived at 211 North Wind Street, I observed Hollis talking with an unidentified male, later identified as Agent Stady. I approached the couple. While approaching, the male stated that he was unaware that he hit the building. I asked the male for his name, and he stated, "Fuck you." The male continued to refuse to provide his name, driver's license, or proof of insurance.
And then what occurred?
The male, I guess, 1342, Sergeant Moonfeld arrived on scene.
And then what transpired?
The male was informed several times that his name was only needed for an accident report. The male stated that he did not need to provide his name, and that he didn't call us at our made arrangements.
And then what occurred?
After several more requests to have the male provide his name, he was detained by Sergeant Moonfeld.
As a matter of fact, did you yourself engage Hollis Sutton?
Yes,
Inquire if he'd been provided any insurance information from the gentleman who hit his building?
correct.
And had Hollis been given any insurance information?
No,
As a matter of fact, did the male identify himself?
no,
As a matter of fact, did Hollis indicate that he was unaware of the male's name?
correct.
After several requests for this individual's name, what occurred next?
Sergeant Moonfeld detained Mr. Stading, handcuffed him behind his back, checked him for lock and fit, and placed him in the rear passenger compartment of this patrol vehicle.
Now, just a moment though, you've identified this individual now as Mr. Stading, but at the point that he was placed under arrest, had a positive identification been made on this gentleman?
No,
So at the time that he was placed under arrest by Sergeant Newenfeld, the identity was unknown.
correct. The reason that he was detained was strictly to identify the male.
Alright. So after he's detained, what occurred next?
Search of this person resulted in one fixed blade knife and one small pocket knife.
As a matter of fact, did Mr. Sutton provide you with any photographic identification of this building getting struck?
Yes,
And relative to that photograph, you would incorporate that into your own evidence and investigative information, is that correct?
correct.
After receiving this photograph from Mr. Hollis Sutton, what occurred next?
I observed the vehicle that was in the picture to be parked directly across the alley. The vehicle was identified by its VIN number as a 2005 Ford F450 Super Duty with South Dakota registration 52N316.
So let's look at some documents there that you have in front of you. That is it's noted at the top is from the Flanders Police Department, is that correct?
Correct.
And these are digital photographs, is that correct?
Correct.
Roughly 8 in number, is that right?
Correct.
But 9 pages because of the cover sheet, is that right?
Correct.
So on the very first photograph, there is a VIN number. Is that the VIN number that you photographed?
Yes.
From the inside of the pickup truck.
Correct.
Furthermore, in that photograph, you observe what appears to be a license plate
Yes.
for the license plate reading 52N362, is that right?
Correct.
That clearly shows expired on 9/2022, is that right?
Correct.
But the date of this incident was June 29th of 2023.
Correct.
So clearly this plate was expired.
Yes.
On the next page, as we move on, there's a photograph of the damage done to Mr. Sutton's building, is that correct?
Correct.
Did you take that photograph?
I did.
Let's move on to the next page. What is identified in this photograph?
That is the flatbed portion of the vehicle. It's the rear passenger, this corner.
Did you take this photograph?
I did.
Let's move on to the next page. What is identified here in this photograph?
It would be the side of the building. Actually, I guess the very next one would be the license plate.
Again, 52N362 indicating expired plates, is that right?
Correct.
Let's move on to the next photograph. That's the side of Mr. Sutton's building, is that correct?
Correct.
Let's move on to the next photograph. Who took this photograph?
I did.
And what is being observed in that photograph?
It's approximately 3" by 6" rectangular hole that was caused by the vehicle.
Let's move on to the next photograph. That is a picture of the vehicle colliding with the building, is that correct?
Correct. This is the vehicle I obtained from Hollis.
Okay. And let's move on to the next and final photograph. What is being observed in that photograph?
This is just the side of the vehicle.
You took that photograph as well?
Yes.
Your Honor, I'd like to offer an evidence marked as exhibit number 1, the photographs taken by Officer Weber in his investigation of this matter.
Mr. Staten, do you have any objection?
I object to this entire proceeding.
I'm aware of
This
that.
is a
Do you have
civil
any objection
matter.
Specific to that exhibit.
I object to everything specifically.
Okay, and what is the basis for the objection?
That this is a civil matter.
That objection is overruled, all accept that.
Noel Robert Pesal, are you bound by Article 6, Clause 2 and 3 of the United States Constitution? Yes or no?
Do you have any additional questions, Mr.
Noel Robert Pesal, are you bound?
Mr.
Yes
Staten, if
or
you
no?
interrupt these proceedings, I will find you in contempt.
Are you communicating a threat?
I'm telling you that I will find you in contempt if you continue to interrupt these proceedings. That includes interrupting Mr. Lewis or myself while speaking, or the witness. Do you understand that?
I do not.
Contempt means that you can be held in jail for a period of time, up to 30 days, you can be fined up to $100.
So are you communicating threats?
Telling you what the consequences will be if you continue to interrupt.
So do I not have freedom of speech?
For purposes of the proceedings today, I told you what the consequences are if you continue to interrupt. Mr. Lewis, you may continue with any questions.
Yes, thank you, Your Honor. During the prosecutor's investigation and dealing with this individual, you detained him, is that right?
Correct.
And did you end up issuing citations?
Yes.
And what were the citations that were issued on this individual?
For expired license plates, leaving the scene of an accident, and no proof of insurance.
All right. Now, you were able to identify this individual by name, though, eventually, is that correct?
Yes.
What was the name of the individual?
Andrew Staten.
If you were to see Mr. Stating today, would you be able to identify him?
Yes.
Will you please do so for the court?
Yes, he's sitting at the defense table in a camouflage shirt.
Would the court please acknowledge the witness identified the defendant, Andrew Stating?
The record will so reflect it.
So, during the prosecutor investigation, you ascertained that there was no insurance in this vehicle, is that correct?
I was not provided with any.
And from the time of the incident to today, have you ever been provided with proof of insurance on this vehicle?
No.
As a matter of fact, in your conversation with Mr. Hollis Sutton, he indicated that he himself had received no insurance information, is that correct?
Correct.
Now, you also went a little bit further by investigating a little bit more detail in regards to the collision impact area of the pickup hitting the building, is that right?
Yes.
Roughly a 6-inch by 3-inch rectangle
Correct. Approximately.
that would have matched the rear end of this truck.
Correct.
And again, identified in the photograph, is that right?
Correct.
At this time, Your Honor, I have no further questions of Officer Weber.
Mr. Staten, you may cross-examine.
Zach, how you doing today, man? That's good. The day that you approached me, were you and your partner both screaming at me, identify or go to jail?
No.
Really? When you placed me under arrest, did you say that I was under arrest for no crime?
No.
Are you sure there's video proof of this?
I do not believe I said you were arrested for no crime.
I asked you, why am I under arrest? What's going on? And you said no crime, and then I was placed in cuffs. Is that correct?
I do not recall that to be accurate.
Well, there's video proof of this. Would you like to see it? Let's bring up the YouTube video Paul's so happy about. When do we get to examine that evidence?
If you have exhibits that you want to offer into evidence, you can follow the rules of evidence to get those admitted.
And what are those rules?
They're set forth in the South Dakota codified law. As the defendant representing himself, you're obligated to follow those rules.
I am not representing myself. I am present. I do not know how to represent myself. Could you demonstrate for me, please?
Do you have any other questions for this witness?
Zach, when you were screaming at me, identify or go to jail, and I told you my name is go fuck yourself, and then you continued to question me, why were you shaking like a coward when I was calmly asking you questions?
Because I have no response to that.
Your partner acknowledged that you were shaking. Is this true?
I guess it. It's true that he acknowledged something.
if you approached someone and they were shaking and trembling in fear, you would have a medical check done on them, is that correct?
I'm going to object to the form of the question. One, it's not relevant to these proceedings as to how or the health or demeanor of Chief Weber in dealing with Mr. Stady.
The objection is sustained. You'll have to move on to your next question.
Zach, were you and your partner trained in de-escalating situations?
Yes.
And is it de-escalating a situation to be aggressive and yell at someone, ID, or go to jail?
Repeat this question.
Is it de-escalating a situation to be screaming at someone, ID, or go to jail?
Your Honor, I'm still going to object in this matter. There is no evidence before us that that is how Chief Weber or Sergeant Neunfeld approached Mr. Stady.
Mr. Stady, you'll need to ask the foundational questions to demonstrate how that was asked.
What is the police department's policy on recording?
As far as us, or as far as citizens reporting us?
As far as your body cam, what is your policy on recording when entering a situation or an incident?
We should record from the time we get there to,
Did you record from the time you got there? Or did you record after you had been there for some time?
I think I was approximately a minute behind.
So, by your own admittance, you violated your own policy?
I guess to an extent.
So, is it rules for thee and not for me? Is that the Flandreau Police Department's mentality?
Your Honor, I'm going to object to the form of this question. Whether or not Officer Weber activated his body cam really is not germane to these proceedings.
The form of the question is argumentative. On that basis, the objection is sustained. Next question.
Did your daddy teach you right from wrong?
Objection, Your Honor. The form of the question is argumentative.
Sustained.
Do you know right from wrong?
Objection, Your Honor. Same reason.
Sustained.
So, am I not allowed to ask any questions in my defense?
You're allowed to ask questions about the testimony the officer gave.
I'm asking about his character. Is that not allowed?
Only under certain circumstances, and in this circumstance, I'm determining that that question is not allowed.
Noel Robert Pesal, are you compensated by the state?
Do you have any additional questions for this witness, Mr. Stady?
Zach, who's in charge, you or Robert?
I would be the chief of police.
But you let his aggressive nature take the lead, don't you?
Objection, form of the question, argumentative.
Sustained.
Do you have the ability to stand on your own 2 feet as a man? Or are you always protected by thin blue line gang members?
Objection, Your Honor, form of the question.
Sustained. Do you have any additional questions for this witness?
Where's the jury?
That's not a question for this witness. Any question for this witness?
How long is this court going to interfere with my right to due process?
I'm going to find that the defendant will waive any further questioning of this witness by declining to ask questions. Does the state have any redirect?
During the prosecutor investigation, Chief Weber, were you able to ascertain whether or not at the time of collision, Mr. Stady immediately approached Mr. Sutton and provided him with his name and relevant insurance information?
I'm not aware of that.
Not aware that he did?
Correct.
Frankly, there's no proof that he did so.
Correct.
I have no further questions, Your Honor.
You step down.
Thank you.
Do you have any additional witnesses?
State will rest, Your Honor.
Mr. Stady, do you wish to testify?
No.
Do you have any other witnesses that you wish to have testify?
I wish for the jury to be present.
We'll take that as a no, defense having rested. I am going to give the opportunity to both parties to make a brief argument. You need to keep it under 3 minutes each. Mr. Lewis, any argument?
Thank you, Your Honor. There, as you can see within the state's evidence marked as exhibit number 1, the expired plates on this vehicle belonging to Mr. Stady, indicating that they had expired well prior to the date of this alleged incident. The state would respectfully ask the court's consideration and finding guilt beyond a reasonable doubt regarding expired plates. Furthermore, as the officers testified, and frankly as Mr. Howell Sutton testified as well, no insurance was provided for Mr. Stady relative to this matter as well, and even to the state, none has been provided, so the state would respectfully ask for the court to find guilt on no insurance as well as Mr. Stating as proof beyond a reasonable doubt. And finally, in regards to failure to report accident, as required by state law, Mr. Stating didn't identify himself to the building owner, nor did he identify any form of insurance to either law enforcement or to Mr. Sutton either. Simply offering compensation to take care of it does not really ameliorate the statute requirement under 3234-6. So the state respectfully asks for the court's consideration in finding guilt on all three offenses.
Mr. State, any argument you wish to make, now is your opportunity.
Is the burden of proof on me to prove that I'm not guilty, or is the burden of proof on the state to prove that I am guilty?
Do you have additional argument you wish to make? Mr. Staten, any additional argument you wish to make?
Do you wish to honor your oath today, Noel Robert Pesal?
I'm going to treat those as rhetorical questions, Mr. Staten. Do you have any argument you wish to make? Defendant, having made no further comment, I will find that the defendant is in this matter, I will take the matter under advisement. I will issue a written opinion which will be submitted to the parties. And once I have completed that, it typically takes me about a week. So we will be in recess as to this file. Mr. Staten, you're free to go for now.
When does the court wish to waste more of my time? Am I going to be called back on this nonsense?
We will schedule the matter for further hearing. That hearing will be set for February 8th, 2023 at 9:30 a.m.
Will a jury be present?
2024 at 9 o'clock a.m.
What date and time? I didn't hear you.
2 weeks from today, so February 8th at 9 o'clock.
Will the jury be present?
I don't anticipate it. We are in recess as to your file. Mr. Lewis, that was the last criminal matter I had for today. Do you have anything else that you missed?
Just this afternoon, Your Honor, nothing further.
We will take item of recess before we go on to the small claims matter.
You swore an oath to the Constitution. It's kind of cute. You understand I've been denied due process the entire time. I see. It's all about that paycheck, just following orders, huh? Don't stand up and actually honor your oath. Oh, that'd be asking for too much, wouldn't it, Ken? What? No, if that were the case, then I wouldn't be here. You know they fucked up. You saw the video. Yeah, Bob saw the video too. What the fuck's going on, man?
So, here's what my understanding is, okay? Obviously, I know where you're coming from with the civil part. You've made an agreement with Paula to get that paid. They're pursuing the no insurance and the,
Do I have to prove I have insurance, or do they have to prove that I don't have insurance?
so you have to prove that you do have insurance.
Oh, wait. Is the burden of proof on who?
Because you were unable to provide it, that's what they cited. If you have it, you just show it and then that's done.
No, that's not the way this country works.
And you know, I
That's the way the communist cowards take over. Yeah, I know Sutton lied under oath. So did Zach.